Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy GZTV, and I decided to try something new this year. This is something we didn't do for the last NFL season. You guys know, football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. What a good week of football it has been so far. It is actually Monday morning, so the Monday night game hasn't happened, but once that game happens, I will record a little clip of me going over that. We're actually going to start posting edited weekly recaps for you guys, so that's going to be fucking awesome. I'm going to be doing that for a little bit besides my MUT, instead of my MUT videos, because I don't know. Madden is cool. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the game this year. It's just that I don't really have time to play video games like that, so let's just get into the games. So starting off on Thursday with the Lions and Chiefs game, pretty good opening game for the season. The Lions spoiled the Chiefs' celebration of the Super Bowl title by rallying for a 1-point win in the first one of the NFL season. And if you told me going to this season that the Lions would end up getting the very first win of the entire season, I don't know what I would say. I mean, the Lions walked into roaring Arrowhead Stadium Thursday night, where the Kansas City Chiefs were nearly unbeatable and were trying to open their latest Super Bowl title defense with a win. And yeah, I mean, Dan Campbell has a lot up his sleeve. He has a lot to prove, and he was a really good coach for this game. I would say all of these games are going to be like a minute each of me covering it. So yeah, Lions are looking pretty good this year. Travis Kelce needs to come back ASAP for the Chiefs, that's for sure. I mean, Travis Kelce being out, there weren't a lot of receivers that could step up. Kadarius Toney was dropping passes. There were a lot of people dropping passes, mainly Kadarius Toney. He's going to get memed for the rest of the year, but yeah. Jared Goff, 22 for 35, 253 yards and a tutty. Really good opening day. Patrick Mahomes went 21 for 39, threw 226 yards, had 2 touchdowns. He did have a pick, though. So yeah, Patrick Mahomes also doing it on the ground with 6 carries for 45 yards. Josh Reynolds had a really good game for the Detroit Lions, 4 catches, 80 yards, while Marquez Valdes-Scantling was really the only guy that attempted to step up for Travis Kelce, having 2 catches for 48 yards. Now we are going to be getting into the Sunday 12 o'clock window games, where we had the Packers and the Bears. I'm obviously going to talk about my Packers first thing as much as I can. And going into this week, honestly, this is one of my the best matchups. I feel like 2 young quarterbacks, a kind of core that doesn't really have everything figured out yet. A lot of people have left the squad, and yeah, this was going to be a really interesting thing to watch. But the Bears just looked terrible. Jordan Love delivers in the opener, throws 3 touchdown passes. It's the Packers beat the Bears by 18. Jordan Love kept telling himself he and his teammates were going to play great. He imagined how it would feel to leave the field with a win, too. It's probably one of the best starting debuts I've seen in a while. I mean, this was a really, really good game. We had the Quay Walker pick 6. Aaron Jones, obviously, injured. That was a pretty pivotal moment of the game. I had him in fantasy, and he did great. Hopefully he can come back next week. Obviously a lot of punches and pushes were thrown in this game. This is a division matchup. I didn't expect anything different. Great throws for Jordan Love. Shout out to Jordan Love. Good game for him. He threw 15 for 27, 245 yards, and 3 touchdowns, while Justin Fields threw 24 for 37, had a touchdown, but he did throw a pick. Justin Fields as well, running the ball, 9 carries, 59 yards. Aaron Jones, being a great receiver for us, 2 catches, 86 yards, and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney had 4 catches for 53 yards and a touchdown. Pretty disappointing game for DJ Moore, but then again, they need to figure out how to get him the ball in that system. So yeah. So moving into the Texans and Ravens game, the Ravens beat the Texans by 16, but will be without running back J.K. Dobbins for the rest of the season. So with J.K. Dobbins lost for the season because of a torn Achilles tendon, the Baltimore Ravens are facing some major questions of where they're sitting in the season. Justin Hill had a good game. Justin Hill was a really good fill-in for J.K. Dobbins, but I don't know how long that's going to last. Lamar threw an interception or so, but he didn't play horrible. C.J. Stroud in his NFL debut, he threw 28 for 44, while Lamar threw 17 for 22. He threw a pick, but again, we're playing the Texans, so it's not like you have to go super crazy. And this is not really that good of a game either. Lamar Jackson also had 6 carries for 38 yards. I'm telling you, the QBs are taking over in the run game. Nico Collins with a pretty good game for the Texans, 6 catches for 80 yards. Zay Flowers looked pretty impressive as well. So, yeah, pretty good game. Pretty solid, I guess. Now getting to the Browns and Bengals, probably one of the most disappointing performances of the entire first week is the Bengals, man. 24 to 23 or 24 to 3. Deshaun Watson runs for a touchdown. The Browns bottle up Joe Burrow in a 21-point win over the Bengals in the season opener. Obviously going to the game, there's a lot of trash talk with Jamar Chase, and man, really good game. I mean, really solid game for Deshaun Watson. He was like a top 10 quarterback this week, which is kind of crazy. Browns fumbled twice on one play. That was interesting. Deshaun Watson, though, probably threw one of the worst picks I've ever seen. Yeah. The Joe Burrow said they're not panicking, but I mean, you just got paid a lot of money to go out there and play like this. I mean, there's nothing positive to say about what Joe Burrow did. With Deshaun Watson, I mean, the man went 16 for 25, got a touchdown, and he threw a pick, but yeah, there's nothing you can say about Joe Burrow's performance. It's really going to do much, as Nick Chubb had 18 carries for 106 yards. He's a killer as always. Elijah Moore, in his first game as a Cleveland Brown, I think, in the regular season, he had 3 catches for 43 yards. So not a bad game. Kind of shitty, but yeah, I guess we'll take it. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not sure where this team's future stands. We have the Vikings and the Buccaneers. The Vikings, I'm not really sure where they stand. The Buccaneers beat the Vikings by 3 as Baker Mayfield finishes strong in his debut. The grit Baker Mayfield showed Tampa Bay down the stretch of his debut sure outweighed the rough start. I mean, he didn't play super well to begin with, but yeah. I mean, Mike Evans was catching touchdowns. Chase McLaughlin hit a big field goal. Alexander Madison got his first touchdown really as the guy for the Vikings, so that was kind of cool to see. Trey Palmer got an interception. Jordan Addison got his first NFL touchdown. Pretty big stuff there in the game. Baker Mayfield threw 21 for 34 with 2 touchdowns. I mean, Kirk Cousins surely put in the work, 33 for 44, 344 yards and 2 touchdowns. But as Kirk really does a lot, he throws picks, so yeah, not really much you could say there. In terms of the receivers, Mike Evans had 6 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown, while Justin Jefferson had 9 catches for 150 yards. I mean, nearly being a part of 45% of your team's receptions or receiving and not winning the game was surely frustrating for him. But we'll have to see how the Vikings figure it out. I mean, yeah, they just need a little more output, probably from their run game, most likely. Titans and Saints, man, this might have been the most poverty game of the entire week. I don't know what the hell I was watching. Derek Carr's New Orleans debut is a success, though, as the Saints edged the Titans by 1 point. There were 31 points combined scored by both of these teams. So, after taking 4 sacks, throwing an interception, and being flattened by a forearm to the face, a sore but determined Derek Carr pulled out the kind of finish he wanted in his New Orleans Saints debut. I mean, he definitely closed it out in the end, but nothing to be extremely proud of. A couple blocked special teams plays this week, too. That was a lot of interesting stuff. Shaheed was a big target for Derek Carr this game. Saints defense went absolutely crazy. We know how good their secondary can be. I mean, but it is Ryan Tannehill. Amani Hooker got a big pick for the Titans, but yeah, Ryan Tannehill. I mean, he had 198 yards. I guess that's not bad, but 3 interceptions. He's just an interception machine. I mean, the least you could say for Derek Carr is 23 for 33, 305 yards and a touchdown isn't as bad, and he only had 1 pick. But man, Ryan Tannehill, what is he doing, man? That is not good. Not really much on from the running backs. Chris Olave did have 8 catches for 112 yards, so I'm sure his fantasy owners are pretty happy with that. Panthers-Falcons was really just a battle of young quarterbacks, and also Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson outshines the top pick Bryce Young as the Falcons knock off the Panthers by 2 touchdowns. The number 8 pick stole the spotlight from the top choice in the NFL draft. Pretty interesting battle of rookies right here. So Bijan Robinson, yeah, he got a touchdown. Jesse Bates. Yeah, Jesse Bates went fucking crazy, dude. He was a great defensive player this week. This first game as a Falcon. Tyler Algier's an absolute beast. Yeah, he was great. Bryce Young, he didn't play horrible. 20 for 38. He threw a touchdown. He did throw 2 picks, though. Desmond Ridder, 15 for 18 in the touchdown. Not a great game, really. It wasn't that good of a game, I guess. Tyler Algier, though, 15 carries for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. He played great. Kyle Pitts had 2 catches for 44 yards, so that's really what. Those are some components that really propelled the Falcons to victory. Pretty good win for them. But they got the Packers next week, so watch out for J Love. Let's go into the Jaguars and Colts. Bigsby makes amends for the big mistake by hoping the Jags earn a rare 10-point victory at Indy. Tank Bigsby had the perfect response for his rookie mistake. And wow, dude. Zay Jones, great catches. Anthony Richardson got hurt in the final minute of the game, which is kind of horrific for the Colts because he was playing pretty well. Travis Etienne was a good player for the Jags. Colts had some pretty solid defensive plays. Anthony Richardson was running and passing the ball. But wow, Calvin Ridley coming off that, gambling scandal and coming off that suspension, what a way to respond. I kind of knew going into this season that he was going to be a hell of a player, but wow, dude. But T-Law, 24 for 32, 241 yards, 2 TDs, and an interception. Not a terrible game. And for a debut, Anthony Richardson throwing 24 for 37 and a touchdown, and throwing a pick, but yeah. Let's see. Calvin Ridley, though, man. 8 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown. I feel like he's going to be an extremely underrated receiver this season. Michael Pittman as well. Good game for him. 8 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Not a bad game there at all. Pretty decent division fight. And here we are at the game that pretty much felt over by halftime. We have the Steelers and the 49ers. Brock Purdy throws 2 touchdowns in his return from the elbow surgery. 49ers destroy the Steelers by 23. Great way to open the season. Brock Purdy spent months rehabbing a surgically repaired right elbow and an entire training camp wondering if he could regain the magic. Well, he came back with all these crazy weapons he had. And sometimes you didn't even have to pass. Christian McCaffrey went completely off this game. Unfortunately for the Steelers, Deontay Johnson got hurt this game. The only real big spark for the Steelers this game was TJ Watt. Pat Freiermuth had a nice touchdown. And I think it's about time for Pat Pete to hang it up because, did you see what Brandon Ayuk was doing to this man all game? Jeez Louise. Brandon Ayuk was incredible. Brock Purdy threw 19 for 29, had 220 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kenny Pickett, 31 for 46 and a touchdown. He threw 2 interceptions. Is this really the guy they want to rock with? I'm not sure, man. Najee Harris had 6 carries for 31 yards. But man, oh man, CMC, 22 carries, 152 yards, and a touchdown. This was actually a pretty good game. Offense-wise, we got a lot. Brandon Ayuk, 8 catches, 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. Probably one of, if not the best game of his career. Allen Robinson, after not being targeted as much on LA and other teams, this man comes out and has 5 catches for 64 yards. So that's pretty solid as well. Let's move on. So getting into the Cardinals-Commanders, we kind of know that the Cardinals are going to be one of the worst teams in the league, but honestly, this is not a bad Week 1 effort. The Washington's defense takes over to help the Commanders rally past the Cardinals by 4. Throughout the second half, Montez Sweat looked around at his defensive teammates and asked who was going to be the closer the Washington Commanders needed. Sam Howell had a rushing touchdown. There were a couple of fights in this game, I guess. A lot of defense. This was a pretty good defensive game. Brian Robinson got a touchdown. Yeah, there was a lot of defense, though. As we get Joshua Dobbs throwing 21 for 30. We have Sam Howell going 19 for 31, 202 yards and a touchdown. He did throw a pick, but that didn't stop his team from gaining the victory. Let's see here. Rondale Moore had 3 catches for 33 yards, while Curtis Samuel had 5 catches for 54 yards. Not really that good of an offensive game or anything, but hey. I mean, I'm kind of impressed with the Cardinals' effort here. This didn't seem like a very important game, but yeah. This game also kind of gave me some Tannehill Carr vibes, the Broncos and the Raiders. Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Myers spoil Sean Payton's Denver debut, and the Raiders' seventh straight win over the Broncos. They fucking own them. Change the coaches and switch the quarterbacks. The Raiders still own the Broncos. That's fucking crazy. Jimmy G and Jacoby Myers had a great game together. But Jacoby Myers did kind of get hit with like a little stinger and big hit. Kareem Jackson got an interception. Russell Wilson was, I don't know. He was okay. I'm not going to say he played like completely trash. I mean, 27 for 34 with 2 TDs. Jimmy Garoppolo did play slightly better. I mean, 20 for 26, a lot more efficient. 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw a pick, but like that's normal Jimmy G behavior. There's not really a whole lot to say offensively about this game. I was kind of disappointed, as a Davante Adams fantasy owner. That's going to be a bias in a lot of these recaps and videos. It's really interesting because I usually don't do fantasy football, but this year it's going to create an interesting one. So, yeah. Next, we are going to possibly be talking about the game of the week and obviously the game of the season so far. We have the Dolphins and the Chargers. What a hell of a game here. Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa, too much for the Chargers as the Dolphins open with a 2-point victory. Tua Tagovailoa might have shocked some observers by putting up one of the best passing days in an opener in NFL history. He played amazing. This was a thriller. Late go ahead touchdown to Tyreek Hill. Josh Kelly got a tutty. Yeah, man. Tyreek Hill is an absolute beast. Jay Herbo's kind of getting it done on the rushing game too, but wow, man. Tua Tagovailoa, 28 for 45, 466 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did throw an interception, but I mean, compared to Jay Herbo's 23 for 33 and a touchdown, this dude had almost 500 yards passing. Like, this shit was insane, man. Austin Eckler, though, got to give him credit for the Chargers. I mean, he had 16 carries for 117 yards and a touchdown. He played pretty good, as well as Keenan Allen having 6 catches for 76 yards. But, man, oh, man, Tyreek Hill. I mean, also in terms of a receiving opening week, I would say he's up there, too. Having 11 catches, 215 yards, and 2 touchdowns. There are quarterbacks that didn't throw for that many yards. And this man still somehow almost had 50% of his receiving with his quarterback damn near throwing 500 yards. Damn near throwing 475. I mean, what a game for Tyreek Hill. And I feel like it's time to start having these conversations about where Tyreek Hill stands, man. I mean, this dude is a fucking beast. So, yeah. I'm sure this was a pretty stressful game for Eagles fans as we have the Eagles-Patriots here. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles build an early lead, hang on to beat the Patriots by 5 as Tom Brady is honored. Jalen Hurts walked off the field following the Eagles' season opening victory. Unsure of what the offense he leads can achieve this season. But I mean, at least the defense did something. Darius Slay with a big pick 6. Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne had a pretty nice connection in that game. The Patriots Hall of Fame is going to be welcoming Tom Brady next year. Couple cool things from this game, I guess. But yeah, I don't really. Let's see. Sorry, I kind of lost my way here. Let's look at the stats for this game. Jalen Hurts, he threw 22 for 33 and had a touchdown. Mac Jones threw 35 for 54, had 3 touchdowns, but he did throw a pick that was pretty costly. I mean, without that pick, the Patriots probably could have won the game. Let's see. A.J. Brown had 7 catches for 79 yards, while Kendrick Bourne had 6 catches for 64 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, there you have it. Alright, so getting into the Rams and Seahawks game. Pretty disappointing game. I thought this was going to be slightly better than what it was, for sure. But it is what it is. Rams show they can be more competitive, and they thumped the Seahawks. They beat them by 17 here in the season opener. It's pretty dope stuff from there. Matthew Stafford started the season without his favorite target, with a rebuilt and unproven offensive line, and with an outside narrative that the ceiling for the Los Angeles Rams this season is just being competitive and at least staying in a couple of games. But yeah, Aaron Donald pressured Geno Smith, put him in hell the entire game. Obviously DK Metcalf can get pretty frustrated easily. That was shown a couple times. Cam Akers had a nice fourth down conversion. Kyron Williams was playing really good this game. Tutu Atwell. They have all sorts of really solid players. Really solid young guys that are going to help them this year. Matthew Stafford obviously being the vet, putting up 24 for 38 passing with 334 yards. Geno Smith had 16 for 26 with a touchdown. Not a great game. Kenneth Walker had 12 carries for 64 yards, so he's kind of continuing his success. He's going to continue to have a good year, I think. Tutu Atwell, though, man, putting the league on notice with 6 catches for 119 yards. DK Metcalf had a solid 3 catches for 47 yards and a touchdown. I would say that's pretty good for what Geno Smith was able to offer today. But, yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough for the Seahawks, bro. I mean, Tyler Lockett didn't really do much of anything. Geno Smith was barely able to get the ball off a lot of the time. And next, speaking of a QB that didn't have time to throw the ball, we have Danny Dimes and his Giants going against the Dallas Cowboys. This is a pretty shitty Sunday night game and probably one of the worst in recent memory. This was awful. The Cowboys always play like Thanos in the regular season, so there's no surprise there. The Cowboys rip an error-prone Giants by 40 points for the worst shutout loss in the series between the NFC East rivals. I mean, history was made tonight. Pretty negative history in the Giants' case. The Dallas Cowboys have not only put some distance between themselves and the New York Giants in the NFC East, they showed Sunday night they're going to be contender for more than a division title. You can say all you want. You can say we them boys all you want, but let's be honest. They are playoff choke artists, and until they can prove to me that they can at least make, a Super Bowl or an NFC championship, then I'm not buying anything. The Cowboys defense played great, no doubt about that, and they always are going to. Obviously, Trayvon Diggs giving the ball to his son, playing great defense was cool. Micah Parsons, being a pass rusher. Tony Pollard being a good rusher. Stephon Gilmore being a good defensive back. Obviously, they have everything they need to be a good team. But when you get to the playoffs, what are they going to be about? Dak Prescott, 13 for 24, 143 yards. Daniel Jones went 15 for 28, but the dude threw 2 interceptions. Pretty disappointing for fantasy owners. People were thinking he was going to be a pretty big QB. Obviously, the Cowboys have a pretty tough defense. And, Tony Pollard came out there, had 14 carries for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. And CeeDee Lamb had 4 catches for 77 yards. But, I don't know. At least my boy Darren Waller started to recover a little bit. He had 3 catches for 36 yards. He didn't play too bad. But, yeah, I don't really have anything to say. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the recap. And I'll be covering Monday's game tonight, probably. I'll be making a recording. So, I'm out, guys. Yo, what's going on? We are back tonight after the Monday night game. This is the final little clip I'm putting in my NFL recap. We're doing every game of the week. So, yeah, this is literally like fucking 16 games we're talking about here. But, wow. Jets lose Aaron Rodgers to an Achilles tendon injury, then rally to stun the Bills by 6 in overtime. Overtime has been Josh Allen's biggest enemy, and this game in general was one of his biggest enemies, probably of the entire season. The New York Jets pulled off one of their most exciting and unlikely victories in years and still couldn't completely enjoy it. That walk-off punt return touchdown was ridiculous. It feels kind of scripted. I don't know how the fuck they didn't tackle him. Man. Yeah, overtime game. I was watching the Manning cast, too, so that was kind of cool. Unbelievable catch by Garrett Wilson. Josh Allen fumbling the ball, throwing picks. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers' injury is going to be the biggest storyline of the week, but they need to sign someone else. They need to just keep going with that. I don't know. Josh Allen threw 29 for 41. He had a touchdown, but the dude threw 3 interceptions. The man damn near got outplayed efficiency-wise from Zach Wilson, who threw 14 for 21, 140 yards, and a touchdown, who, although had a pick, it's not fucking 3 interceptions. Breece Hall, thought he was going to be on snap restrictions. The dude comes out and has 10 carries for 127 yards. And looking at the Bills, Stephon Diggs surely didn't disappoint with 10 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown, while Allen Lazard scored 2 receptions for 46 yards. So a pretty good game. I thought there were a couple other great games this weekend, but this might take the cake. I mean, they literally got a punt return touchdown. As scripted as that might have looked, that was fucking insane. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good rest of your night. I'll put these clips together. You guys will be getting this Monday morning, so really appreciate you guys for showing love to the channel. It's been great recently. Peace out.